right, everybody. Here we are back again, learning stuff about weightlifting. And look, I remembered 2 times in a row to let you guys actually see this lift before I start slowing it down and pausing it and talking for 45 minutes on one little thing. All right, so obviously, few things that are at issue here. The most obvious, of course, is that he gets slam dunked in the bottom, and we would love to avoid that in any lift, but in particular cleans. So let's figure out what's going on here. So starting position, I have no problems with this really. Looking pretty good. Uh, he actually maintains his position pretty well. Looks like he's balanced. Again, no problem there. And then right here, things start going a little sideways. So without getting really too far into this, the arm bend, early arm bend, there are times at which it's not going to be something you have to worry about because it's not negatively affecting the lift and because it is not a symptom of another problem that is negatively affecting the lift. But in this case, uh, it is definitely a symptom of a problem that needs to be fixed. And I don't know exactly why this is happening, but it looks to me like he is kind of trying to make that bar go vertically. And by doing so, he's having to readjust his body and kind of like push himself under the bar, which means forward, rather than being able to move his body in the way he needs to, which means pushing vertically with the legs as the bar comes in against the body and then extending those hips on top of the legs. So because that bar stays forward, so remember a perfectly vertical bar path from a proper starting position is going to mean that the bar is too far forward once you get up higher in the pole. So just to clarify that. So that's the situation we have here. And so now he's going to start rowing that bar up with the arms. So he's not just lifting with bent arms, he's actually bending the arms to lift the bar. And that's the critical distinction there. So you can see him like literally trying to pull the bar up. And part of that is going to be somewhat of a natural reaction to avoid the legs coming forward if the bars in the body are not in a good position. But this to me is him relying on that rowing motion to actually lift and accelerate the bar rather than allowing the legs and hips to do their job there. And so you see it, he never really gets like the true acceleration we want, and everything has to move forward to try to sneak under the bar. And so again, we have that forward momentum carrying him through the bar. Even this final position, again, I think I said this last time, like if you just saw this, you might say, "Oh, that's not too bad." But you can see that he is, his whole body is slightly forward relative to the feet. Um, and so it's a little too forward for him to be able to control that bar well and control his balance well for the rest of the lift. So again, and I know I mentioned this recently, is that kind of limbo motion where because he's shifting forward to the bar, that forward momentum continues carrying his lower body, or sorry, kind of everything from the feet up forward into that weird motion where now he's kind of sliding his hips forward under the bar, despite the fact that his feet kind of pop backwards just that little bit. So see that feet go backward kind of toward the toes, but the hips are sliding under. And so that's going to be problem number one when he receives the bar is watch what happens. So now his hips are kind of moving forward over the feet, and now he's going to get rocked back because that's not a position that he's going to be able to support. And so that's a lot of times when you see that or feel that in your own lifts, that sudden bounce back, it is exactly because either the feet have moved backward or the hips have moved forward, or you're continuing to sit the hips forward like you don't retract them enough into that squat, or a combination of those. All right. So really just needs to keep those arms relaxed as possible and use the lats and the shoulders to push the bar into the lap here to keep it closer and allow him to really push through that pole without moving forward. And so you can actually get that leg and hip power into the bar to accelerate. And then, of course, that's going to help him avoid that weird limbo motion that makes that squat so gnarly at the bottom. Okay. So, next thing here is that as kind of part of that arm rowing, we lose that quick acceleration of the bar. So the quicker you accelerate at the top, the more explosive the finish of that pull is, the quicker that pull under can be. So conversely, if this is slow and kind of you're muscling your way through, that's going to be true for the turnover to a large extent also. And so that's exactly what we get is so he again, he kind of has this idea that he wants to pull the elbows out, but they never really go out, or excuse me, he doesn't squeeze them back quite enough. He lets those elbows start coming forward too early. So look at where that bar is. That bar is going away from his body, and then as he gets to this position, not only is it forward, but it's really high relative to the shoulders. I mean, that's a good 3-4 inches. That thing is grazing his chin. And so that means that thing is going to come slamming down on him, which is adding to that collapse right there due to his position. So through here, the point is that I honestly don't care how you do it because there's slightly different ways to do it. But that bar can never move away from the body. It has to stay close to the body this whole time because that's how you are able to spin the elbows around the bar so you get a quicker turnover and then you don't have that crashing. If there's never a gap in the first place, you can't have a bar that's crashing. So it's a lot easier to prevent the gap in the first place than to try to make up for it here by pausing and trying to kind of avoid squatting for a moment until that bar is on your shoulders. You're just making it way more complicated on yourself. All right, so pretty sure I covered everything that we really need to focus on that one. And again, guys, I'm planning on coming back and doing follow-ups to all these videos where I talk about, you know, what the actual corrections I would be, but like everything else, I'm way behind. I'll get to it eventually. Feel free to ask questions on here, and obviously I'll do my best to kind of answer uh, in that limited space and time I have in Instagram and YouTube comments. All right, see you guys later.